start. Cool. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Cybersecurity Mentoring Podcast. We have Kevin Findler on the call. Finally, we have been planning this for quite a while. Kevin, do you want to give an introduction about yourself? How did you start and how did you come across us, or actually how I came across you? Kevin, floor is yours.
Hi. So I'm Kevin Fielder. I'm CISO for Just Eat. I'm on this because Francesco has hounded me for months to get me on the podcast. But yeah, no, it seems like an interesting thing. He's had some good people on here previously, so I thought it'd be interesting to have a chat, talk about security and stuff. So yeah, happy to be here.
Thank you for taking the time. I know how busy between conference, commuting, your CrossFit activities, your dieting activity you are. So I really appreciate the time. And I'm Francesco Cipollone, so I'm heading up the NSC 42 and the Cloud Security Alliance for UK and Ireland, and also host of the Cyber Mentoring Monday podcast. We have a mentoring community, so this is a little bit of a hybrid podcast where people ask question during the call or after the call. So we tend to talk about topics and then crack on giving people that airtime that they most require if they don't have a specific mentor. So it's a little bit of a hybrid podcast, and I hope you enjoy, Kevin. So one of my favorite topics is how did you start in cyber?
Sorry, you've paused.
Oh, sorry. How did you start in cyber?
So I've done kind of tech stuff and geeky things for a lot longer than I care to admit to. And I guess always had a bit of an interest in security. So back in the day when I was kind of doing infrastructure work and other stuff, I always kind of gravitated towards security-ish things. So whether that was building firewalls or testing AV or whatever else, building kind of little Linux boxes to put IDS on and that kind of thing. Always did security-ish stuff, a bit more infrastructure-y because that was my original background. And then when I was working at GE Capital, we had a virus outbreak, and with some monkeying around with kind of registry changes and some other bits and bobs, I managed to fix it before the vendor at the time got a fix out. And that coincided with a security... Yeah, it's pretty good. And that coincided with a new security manager starting in our bit of the world, who was building obviously needed to build a team, and he was just like, "Hey, do you want a job?" I was like, "Yes." So that kind of got me my first security role. Bounced around a few different roles, kind of. Yeah, it was funny. It's one of those ones where I got offered the job, and then we had to do kind of an HR interview after I'd already had the job offer. So yeah, that was fun.
FYI, I already got the job.
Basically, yeah. And then so we did that, and then I did some security analyst roles, did a bit of light pen testing within that role, and some other bits and just general security stuff. Then from there, did some security architecture, did some actual normal architecture. So I had a little team of solution architects at one point, on the basis that most of what happens or a lot of what goes wrong in security is because we don't design it in to start with. So I was like, hey, if I go and do some architecture, I can help design secure systems as part of that. So trying to fix it from that end. And then
absolutely agree.
Yeah, and then did a few years at WorldPay doing a variety of roles, which kind of accumulated in me, building what we called the cybersecurity consulting team. So that was kind of internal consulting, doing everything from kind of inception through to stuff going into production, AppSec, threat modeling, infrastructure design, sort of basically everything across all work in prior to it going live, and also kicked off a bit of work there around kind of security innovations and how we could make security kind of part of the business proposition. That got me to the lofty head of title that then enabled me to take a jump at the CISO role. So I'll always be grateful to Just Eat for giving me that chance, because it's much harder to get the title than to move around once you've got it. They took a chance on me, jumped in here, spent the last just over 2.5 years here. It's been super exciting because we've got to build the whole team strategy. Pretty much everything that we have now is stuff that the team's built with me. And yeah, it's a really fun, exciting place to be, and I've got to kind of do, I think pretty kind of leading edge security in many ways, because we're DevOps, we're cloud native, we're all the kind of like fairly leading edge technology stuff.
Yeah.
and there isn't a blueprint for what we do. So it's not like you can go and follow a standard that says do X, Y, Z. It's not traditional security. We have to be much faster, much more enabling, much more kind of embedded with engineers and things than people have been in the past. So it's been a really great ride doing that, and we continue to try and improve things now. So yeah, that's a brief history of Kev's career.
Amazing history. So you more or less touch point on the various areas of cyber, or the various areas of an enterprise, if you want, before landing to the top of the food chain for cyber. If you can choose one of the role that you enjoy the most, which one would it be? Or area that you enjoy fiddling around or playing around, which one would it be?
I genuinely think my current role. So kind of my first 10, 15 years of my career, I kind of drifted around doing stuff, as I say, gravitated towards security things, but not kind of, I wasn't one of those people that was hugely driven with here's my career goals. Just got by with being kind of inquisitive and reasonably intelligent, I guess. But then, the last sort of 5, 8 years or so, I've kind of got much more focused on my career. And I've discovered I really love kind of helping people. So not just kind of obviously being the CISO means we get to build the team and kind of set that whole security strategy and the whole piece, which is really cool. But I also get to kind of help support a team of people and help them in their careers. So I think what I'm doing now is probably the thing I'm enjoying the most. It's a bit of an always on role, and I think it's one of those things where people talk about burnout and stuff, but I love it, and just I love doing what I do. I love being able to help secure an organization. I love the fact that we get to make security different to kind of traditional security, moving away from whether it's compliance or audit or whatever else, to actually delivering really kind of business embedded sort of security at the speed of business, for want of a better buzz term. And like I say, I've managed to employ some really cool people that are helping me do that and helping deliver an awesome program, but also helping their careers. So I've had some real successes with people's careers and getting them a lot further forward than they thought they'd be. So I think what I'm doing now is probably what I enjoy the most. And surprisingly, the people aspect of it is becoming more and more important to me, as well as the kind of technical and security stuff.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's great. And thank you for, I know you and Greg are taking an active role on pushing the boundaries on hiring, on making people passionate, on supporting people. And I really appreciate that, because that's one of my personal pet peeve and commitment to actually give as much back, supporting people and trying to help them through a career path that is such challenging. Because I don't know if I mean, how do you recruit, for example, on cyber? What are the aspects that fundamentally I know that you look quite leading edge on that. So can you share your thoughts?
Yeah, so for me, it's especially the kind of junior mid end of the spectrum, it's much more about fit, culture, keenness, excitement than it is about have you got bits of paper and things. I don't think we do anymore. And I certainly wouldn't, if I spot them, I wouldn't let us have anything like, we don't must have certain certs or must have degrees or any of those things on there. It's just about, does someone want to come in and do some really awesome work for us? We've had huge success. I've got an apprentice on the team who a few weeks before joining us was stacking shelves in Sainsbury's. And within, I can't remember, 6 months to a year, but within 6 months to a year was on call for the ops team, doing actual, real SecOps work and investigating things for us and everything else. So and he's to this day a great member of the team. So it's look for fit, look for kind of people who are super keen and excited that are going to help your team, and don't get too hung up on kind of huge list of skills, and minimize that, because in reality, for most roles, right, what do you actually do you need that huge list of things, really? Do you want to put off huge swathes of the population by going, here's a massive job spec that's super dull and people won't apply unless they've got some or all of that list? Obviously, for some roles, we have to have a portion of senior people in the team as well. And obviously, they do have to have a set of skills and abilities, because they'll be helping mentor and teach the more junior members of the team. So it's not like you can do that for everyone. But I really get upset by people who hide behind, I can't hire junior people, or I can't do this. It's your team, you can. The reality is, what the board and what the exec and whatever else are interested in from any team, not just security, right? You make some promises and you agree on budget and things like that to deliver those promises, right? So if I agree with them that I need X money to do it, and this is what the team should look like, and this is what I will give you, and they agree that's what they want, they will let me deliver that and they'll let me do that. If you're going, oh no, they won't let me do this, that's not true. You can absolutely build the team you want, and you explain to people, this is why we're building this team and this is what we're going to deliver for you. And then you go do it. So it's just, don't hide behind, I must have senior people, or my board won't let me, or my exec won't let me. That's not an excuse anymore. And it also helps you, because if you have a team, every team has a bit of a pyramid shape, right? No matter how big your team is, there's going to be a limit to how many people you can have that are principals or heads of, or lead engineers, whatever your titles are in your organization, right? And there's going to be, you can't have every single person in your team as some kind of super principal engineer, because
Unicorn.
and it doesn't exist, and your teams just don't look like that, right? So if you want to build a team where you've got kind of a talent pipeline, where you've got people who are going to grow into roles, have some more junior people. They come in, they're super excited, they're keen. You can kind of help train them in how you think things should be done, but also they'll give you a fresh viewpoint, because as you mentioned, Greg, he often mentions that they haven't been indoctrinated into security. So if you have someone who comes in with a fresh view, or from a different bit of the organization, or different career externally, they're going to have different ways of looking at things and different views to your, this is how security is done, in inverted commas. So I think that I can't sort of say how important, I can't overstress how important it is to do that. And like I say, if you have someone who comes in and you've helped build their career, they'll probably stay with you a bit longer. They may, those the ones that start with you as a junior and could become a senior or principal or whatever with you. They know your org inside out. So then you've got a senior person who actually has loads of organizational experience with you, rather than bringing a senior who has no organizational experience. So for me,
That's a
it's
really interesting topic. Yeah, no, that's. I think you hit the nail on. A lot of enterprise or a lot of organization having that business culture helps a lot with security.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, for me, it's building a talent pipeline. It's getting awesome people in. It's giving people a chance, and you'll end up with a way better team. So yeah, I can't overstress the importance of that.
But how do you balance, for example, a junior and a senior? And how do you keep that balance? Where have you found that sweet spot that it helps you or enable you to deliver at the pace that business asks, but at the same time it doesn't cost a tons of money, or it create that nice imbalance that you just mentioned?
It depends on the team and what they're trying to deliver. To be honest, I mean, take our SecOps team. We have 9 people and a manager currently, and 10 including now. We've got a grad in rotation as well, and we've got 3 seniors, and the rest are kind of junior mids. I mean, it also varies, right? What's a senior? So in just we have a kind of a career ladder that goes from 50 to 60. No idea why it goes from 50 to 60, but hey, so like 50 would be an associate, kind of straight out of university / just finished an apprentice scheme kind of person, up to 60 being top end of principal engineer, head of type person, right? But senior is kind of, I think, 54 to 57, something. So there's within senior, there's quite a chunk. So there's, and across any organization, there's a lot of breadth of or depth of what does a senior mean, and is it someone who's super skilled at one thing, or somebody who's quite skilled at a broad range but just brings good experience? So there's not kind of one definition of senior or one thing that is a senior or junior mid. And you'll be a good junior mid person that's knocking on kind of being promoted to a senior in the near future, etc. So I mean, it's pretty broad, but so certainly in the ops world, we go for so we go for kind of, it's roughly 2 or 3 junior mids to 1 senior, approximately.
Okay.
But that will vary depending on the size. If you've got a bigger team, it may be that portion can be more junior mids to seniors. It's just because we have our teams has 3 primary locations, so we've, as if bit by luck, but kind of by planning, we have a senior in each location. So when people are on site or with the person they're local to, they have someone senior to look up to and mentor them locally, as well as kind of doing it remotely. So we've kind of tried to have 1 senior in each location. So that's driven part of the 3 to the ratio of having 3 seniors in that world.
That's nice. And you saw that it really helps, or you saw, have you tried like full junior team, or see how they behave? I try to experiment of late with full graduate or full junior team, and see if they manage to coordinate between themselves with like minor guidance, and had like a mixed bag. But have you ever tried that kind of?
No, never done that. Partly because obviously it's as we've grown the team, we've kind of designed it how we want to.
Oh,
And
nice.
I think obviously because you've got, and that comes back to my point that the team's grown because we've we've explained what we're going to deliver, and we've got approval for a certain size of organization and everything else, and this is the organization we've designed to a pretty strong extent. I think certainly within security, probably it depends on the team or what they're doing. But again, certainly, I guess maybe where you have incidents and those kind of things, you're not going to want purely junior people, because you need people who've had some experience of incident management and incident response and some of those things. It's not necessarily, hey, I'm a super expert at this tech, but it's, hey, I'm going to keep a clear head and I know who to talk to and I know when to escalate, and some of those kind of things that you just get with a bit of experience.
Professional experience, yeah.
Yeah. So I think you wouldn't necessarily want, again, it, like I said, depends on the role. If you're, say, doing a bunch of things, like a lot of teams start off in kind of the end user computing world, for example. So you may have a lot of junior people in that space because that's how they get their start into tech generally. But I'd want some level head might be the wrong word, but some experience and balance. So when there is an incident, if I'm not on the call,
they don't panic.
There's someone there just keeping things calm and working through methodically. So because I've been here before, I've done this, I've dealt with this. It's just that little slightly calm head, an experienced head, I guess.
That you said it comes with experience. And I think where I toyed around, it was like pure experimenting or pure engineering, where it's not mission critical, or as you said, it's not business impacting, when you can have like more of a hackathon kind of feeling.
Yes, absolutely.
For something. And then moving on, from a manager perspective and from keeping close to tech, or from how do you balance your discussion with the business versus being close to the technology? How do you find that sweet spot that enabled you to talk to technical team or to keep on communicating with your team, and at the same time talking to the board and not killing them with buzzwords or or leave them completely confused? What the heck are you talking about?
Yes, I think
had that a couple of times.
I think that's one of the things that makes this role interesting, right? Which is the fact you have to have that balance. So it's not a purely technical role and it's not a purely business role. It's a role where you blend the two, and I like that. I come from a technical background. I enjoy playing with toys like the rest of us, and learning new things and investigating stuff. I was having a conversation about running TVs through Raspberry Pis and stuff yesterday. So, I still like have a vague set of geek credentials, and I think you have to, in the CISO role, it's good to have some of that, because you will be talking to engineers and you have engineers working for you. So, probably 2/3, 3/4 of our team are engineers, because we're kind of a tech company. And so obviously I need to have their respect. I need to, you need to know enough that you trust them. I kind of say to my team, probably anyone who's, now, especially now I'm more and more hands off, probably anyone in my team that's a mid engineer up is going to be better than me at their specialism. And they probably should be, because that's their job, right? That's what they do every day. And I have a sort of in veneer across all of that. But equally, I also have to be able to go and do the, talking to exec, talking to board, talking to, people who lead our marketing teams, whatever else, about why things are important, and trying to do my best to translate it into kind of business language, what the business benefit is, what the business risk is. So it's a lot of those kind of risk language discussions that we have. So yeah, I think it's a balance of both. I don't know if I've got the sweet spot perfectly. I try my best. And it's,
I think nobody has. We're learning. It's constantly adjusting the dial.
There isn't a blueprint for this, right? Different organizations require different types of CISOs, and if you're in a bank where you've got, CISOs reporting to CISOs reporting to, and you've got a huge chain of command, the CISO at the top probably doesn't have to have anywhere near the same technical chops today. I'm not saying they don't have it, but they probably don't need it as much, because they're going to be so much more kind of BSO, for want of a better word, or is it much more businessy and much more, because they've got so many people working for them. Whereas in a smaller organization or a tech organization, you're going to have more of a tech balance as well as the business stuff,
and closer to the ground.
Yeah, and it's, and I think it's critical of both. I think if you have a CISO who cares more about the tech, or you're doing tech, exams, or tech kind of, can you go and harden a machine or whatever kind of tech stuff for hiring a CISO, I wouldn't be interested, because you're so far wrong in terms of what's important. Anyone heading up any team, what they have to have first is a care for their team and a care for building a team, because my team isn't me. Fundamentally, most of the role of someone who leads a team is to get stuff out of the way of their team, so their excellent team can do great work, right? So me being too tech focused would do no one any favors, because I'd be meddling too much rather than trusting my team. So it's, you need to also, one of the things I guess I've learned over the last couple of years is actually that stepping back slightly. So I love to meddle, and when I first joined Just Eat, there's probably a year or so where it was the Kev show, because we're a small team that was growing, and it's cool. Hey, everything I said is a great idea and we should be doing it, and obviously everything I say is a great idea, but no, but seriously,
that's why we invited you to the podcast.
but seriously, the reality is, right? When you first start and you're building things from scratch, it's fairly obvious what you should be doing. But fundamentally, that's the whole point of a team: is you get better people than you at what they do, right? So there's no point in me sticking my oar into Stu's world about these are your priorities in cloud and infrastructure, because he's better than me at that. That's his job. He's a principal engineer in cloud and infrastructure. He's got a small team of people working for him whose sole focus is how do we manage our cloud environments? How do we get consistent security across our cloud environments? How do we monitor endpoints? That's their jobs, right? So me telling them, I'll discuss with them and agree with them, but I'm trying to promote a culture where they come to me and they're like, Kev, these are our priorities, these are our biggest risks in this space, and this is what we're doing about them. And I champion that because they're better than I am at what they do. And that's what I think one of the things about, I guess, managing or leading a team is being a bit more humble about stuff, in terms of you should be hiring people that are much better than you. You shouldn't be scared of that, because you'll get a much better outcome because they're doing awesome work. So I think it's I'm kind of rambling a bit, but I guess it's that balance of tech and people and business.
I like that rambling. I think it goes and you hit the sweet spot of actually being humble enough to take yourself back. And coming from a tech background, I find it myself that sometimes you want to jump the gun because you want to drive the direction, but nudging towards the direction when you want people to be and to go and to ultimately accomplish things is really, really challenging. So if I can ask, what is a good story and a bad story when you, for example, jump on top of a situation, or you try to influence by acting directly, or where you actually say, well, I'm going to just nudge and, I have people reach where I want them to be, rather than, telling them how?
So I guess it's a really simple example. I think what brought it home to me a year or so ago was, obviously when the team was small, when I joined, there was about 5 or 6 people, and kind of no real direction. And so as we grew, I kind of knew what everyone was doing all of the time, because for probably the first year or so, pretty much everyone reported to me, because we didn't have enough people to build out the structure and have my ops team and my cloud team and my AppSec team and the kind of different functions and the culture and compliance area. So I didn't have that, I had that in mind, and we were growing towards that. So I kind of knew where everyone was and what they're doing kind of all of the time. And then now I've built out a kind of little leadership team. We try to kind of keep a team calendar, so when someone's working from home or if they're off at the doctors or whatever else. So we try and kind of keep a awareness of where people are, especially if they're not going to be available. But it's not kind of, hey, you have to be in the office. It's just let us know what's going on. So we, if someone says, where's Jim, I can go, oh, he's at the doctors, or whatever. So we can easily we just know where people are, when to expect comms from them, that kind of thing. And one of the team, a guy called Manos, he's sadly moved on now, but to another company, not to dead or anything. He wasn't in, and he was usually really good at keeping his calendar up to date. And I was like, oh, where's Manos? I was like, and he worked for Stu, so I was like, hey Stu, where's Manos? And pretty much before he replied, I pulled myself back and says, actually, ignore me. If you know where he is and you're happy he's doing the right stuff, I don't need to be meddling in where your team is, right? So it's a really simple example, but that for me was a real kind of moment of clarity of, step back, Kev. If your teams are all delivering really well, and Stu's team is delivering everything you need it to be, and they're all doing great work, and they're all engaged and working with the other bits of my team and everything else, whether someone's working,
it's his realm.
Yeah, it's his realm, right? And if it was constantly an issue and I never knew where anyone was, I might say, hey, can you guys get a bit better at this? But I was like, I don't need to know. Stu's like, hey, I'm good with this. It's all going well. He's doing what I need to be doing. So why am I meddling in what is Stu's team? So it's a super small example, but for some reason that was that moment of clarity that kind of gave me actually, you've got really good people working for you. Why am I meddling?
Yeah, no, it's a great example. I think it hit the sweet spot of stepping back. I just realized, because I think we all jump in front of the gun and being humble enough to say, okay, your thing, you deal with it, and stepping back, I think, is really important. And we're all gonna learn by mistakes, or hopefully not big mistakes.
Yeah, and I think it's really good that a lot of times you can, if you're a little bit cognizant of your environment and kind of what you should be doing, you can learn from small things without having to have a big thing. So I don't, little things like that where I can realize, hey, I don't need to meddle in this or I don't need to meddle in that, help me pull back and let my teams do awesome work, without me getting to the point where I've had someone complain to me that they're not allowed enough space to do their job, or even worse, have one of my kind of leaders leave because they're not allowed enough autonomy or whatever. So yeah, so it's I think listen to yourself and be kind of cognizant of what's going around you, so you can learn from small mistakes or small things rather than have to have an issue.
Yeah, tackle the small fire without them to burn you completely.
Yeah.
And talking about small changes, so going a little bit back on the techie side, so how important is for Just Eat and for yourself the DevSecOps or DevOps stuff? How was your journey in application security versus traditional infrastructure, traditional security?
So we're cloud native DevOps, 50 to 100 releases a day or so. So we're all in
Wow.
with that way. We're all in with that way of working. I know some people do it faster, but we're pretty good. We have a very empowered organization. Our engineers, they get, if you own a product, you'll get called to fix it if it goes wrong, whatever else. So we have that whole kind of DevOps agile culture pretty embedded into what we do. And my whole team runs as an agile team, so we deliver all of our security work in sprints, and we work to make sure everything we do that engages with engineering and wherever else kind of works at the speed it needs to. So it's a kind of, it's no use using use code scanning example, right? You do a bunch of checks on code, and we tell you tomorrow there's a problem. It's been in production for a day. We have to be in, you have to be in the pipeline, and you have to be making those checks at check-in or even further, shift left for want of a better term. But you have to be kind of making those, you have to be kind of doing those checks as quickly as possible and at the speed of where everyone else's work. So you're checking code, you're checking third-party libraries. Every time stuff gets checked in, you're looking at test environments and doing, building security tests into your QA testing as part of the testing process, not as something that gets added on afterwards. But I think that what's for me the little secret of all of this, in terms of this, you mentioned this versus waterfall or other ways of working, right?
Yeah.
This way of doing security is the way everyone should be doing it, because the quicker you
It's
find
fast.
problems and the more you engage, and we do threat modeling, and we do secure, but we work on secure by design. We work, we go and sit in engineering guilds and architecture guilds and everything else to get stuck in as early on as possible in any discussion about new things, new tech, whether that's how we're going to do, what we're going to do with our WAN, or whether we move our office firewalls to the cloud, or what we're doing with product and what we're rolling out to our customers or our restaurant partners. So kind of the whole piece we get involved in,
Mm-hmm.
and we try and get involved as early as possible. But imagine you're working in a traditional, what is traditional, but you're working in a waterfall environment, right? If you tell someone there's a potential security issue with their code 10 minutes after they check it in, that's awesome. If you're involved in design meetings and threat modeling and whatever else, that's awesome. So I think being a fast, agile security team is, for me, the best way to do security, regardless of what the rest of your organization is doing. If I'm
To
working
do it fast.
if I'm working at a faster cadence than everyone else in the organization, all I do is look great and I deliver more. And you can be, it's probably an overused phrase, but you can be, an agent of change effectively. If you're an organization that's a bit slow and a bit process heavy and whatever else, you can engage with those things and you can give the right information to toll gates, but you can also do much more, and you can do it much faster. And then you can demonstrate that and try and push out that more engaged, more collaborative, faster way of working to the rest of your org. You may or may not win, but you can help make things better, I think.
I agree, and speed and fast feedback is the key for DevOps, or any security team that works in engineering or close to the engineering. But if you're looking at, for example, more traditional environment that need to start that journey, what will be if anything, the one advice to look out for, or one thing to do and one thing to look out for if you start a journey towards DevSecOps, for example?
So it depends. If you're leading it from a security perspective rather than the rest of the organization, engage more. So stop being a security team that isn't as engaged, and just go and turn up to things. Be helpful. most people in security, especially, have done other stuff, right? We've all got good experience with, like I've come from a pretty strong infrastructure background. My AppSec engineers are all ex-developers. So get stuck in with things. If you can help with more than just security. So stop being just a security team. If you can see something that could be done better that will make it more reliable or faster or easier to deploy, whatever else, go and be a helpful team that engages with your business and engages with being helpful across a range of things, so that when people have interactions with you, like, hey, it was great doing that work with that team. Jane from security really helped us with this problem, or whatever it is. You can do really good work to get that kind of cultural thing that security is a helpful team, and get embedded as early as you can. So if you are in a traditional org, try and get involved in the project kickoff meetings and the project planning meetings, and sit down with the PMs and the PMO on how you can be more engaged in that process. But do it as a how can we be more engaged, not as a security says no, or there must be a toll gate. Forget all of that. Just work on that engagement, because you get so much more. As soon as you make something mandatory or a toll gate, you become a pain. If you do it right and get design in early and get all your checks in early and everything else, you'll probably fix a lot of the problems without being that toll gate pain person. In terms of what to watch out for, as you get better at stuff, again, if we're talking about AppSec or design, scanning, whether it's scanning builds or scanning code or whatever else, be realistic about what you can achieve on day one. So anyone can point, it's not difficult to point a tool at your code repository and go, blam, there's every single finding from a CVS 5 upwards, have 10,000 results, and engineers go, oh, can't do it,
fix everything.
so they'll push back. So I mean, as an example, when we first started looking at third-party libraries, we looked at, this was a while ago, when we first started doing that, we only did, and obviously with a bit of business context, 9.8s and above, just as a thing to start with. I think we found like 40 things, which was actually related to about 4 or 5 libraries that were just in use in a few places. So just be realistic about your expectations. Don't go, we'll smash everything at once. Go, okay, we might want to fix everything down to a CVS or whatever score you want to use, or, of 6 or whatever arbitrary number you come up with, but that's not going to happen on day one. So let's work on how we do an engagement that actually gets us traction, that says, hey, look, we want to manage the risk of the organization, we want to get better at securing things, but also we understand we have to deliver products and capabilities. So on this first tranche across our entire 80 sprint teams or whatever you've got and hundreds of engineers, we're rolling out 40 things we'd like to get fixed, not 4,000. That kind of stuff, and also be helpful and realistic with what you do. So again, using the third-party library thing, it's great. The default answer might be upgrade to latest version, which might be hugely challenging. If you're on a version that's supported but is 2 or 3 behind current, you might find
it's breaking the dependency, and it breaks all the dependency.
Deprecated half the stuff you rely on, right? But if you go from version 2.3 to version 2.6, you're still within main version and you're secure. So be sensible about your guidance, and kind of minimize the impact you have on velocity and dev teams, so that they like working with you, but they also recognize you're managing risk.
No, that's good. And we have a question actually on the sideline from Masha about how did you start in CrossFit?
Yeah, I saw that. So I've been doing it, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now, on and off. I've been stagnating a bit, so I'd been cycling a lot. I spent a lot of time working about 15, 16 miles from where I lived when I was in Harpenden, and cycled most days to work, and then did a bit of kind of traditional gymming, so biceps and chest or whatever.
It's a lot of cycling.
So I did that kind of 3 to 5 days a week. You probably usually about 3 or 4 days a week, plus some gym and stuff. And I'd kind of been doing that for a while. I was in a bit of a rut. But then I kind of came across the CrossFit thing, and had completely unrealistic expectations about how good I'd get at it, but thought it'd be some fun, and just got into it. And it's just good fun, and it's you get to throw weights around and have a laugh, and I can preach about it a little bit, whether it's CrossFit or any it doesn't have to be that brand, right? But any kind of well put together sort of functional fitness type program, you get to do a variety of things, whether it's a bit of lifting, body weight stuff, running, rowing, cycling, jumping on boxes, burpees, kettlebells. It's just a huge range of things. But the classes, you all do the same thing. So like infinitely scalable is kind of the term. So like take a pull up. You can do a pull up where obviously you pull down to get your chin over the bar. You can do that to get your chest to the bar. You can do it, there's various gymnastic ways of doing more of them, but you can also do it with a band or jumping or with your feet just on a box. So you can use your legs a little bit to pull yourself up, but using your legs to help. So you can do a bunch of ways of doing the same movement, but with a different scale, so that everyone from someone who's like an international fire-breathing athlete to your gran at the end of the class will have done effectively the same workout. There may be less range of movement, lighter weights, modified movements, but they'll have done the same workout. And at the end of it, they're all high fives, they're all fist bumps, lying on the floor, sweating away, but you've done the same thing. And it builds great camaraderie because you do it together. And one of the things I love about the kind of classes we do is if it's a workout, you tend to have two types of workout. They're either for time, so it's how many, it's you'll do a set number of reps and finish after X minutes, or they're within a given time, how many can you do? So it'll be a 20-minute long workout or whatever, and you do as much as you can in that time. For the ones where it's not for time, where it's for time, sorry, so you're doing X reps for and how quickly you can do them. It might be deadlifts and running and box jumps. You've got to do 50 of each and a 100-meter run or whatever it is. You do the people who finished cheer on the people who haven't finished. So it's not like,
That's
hey,
nice.
yes, there's no kind of like, you get a bit of bants because we're gym people, right? And we're a bit silly, but fundamentally it's actually really about the camaraderie and helping people. And if you're the last person in the gym, if you're the last person to finish a certain workout, you'll probably find everyone else is around you cheering you on and clapping you and giving you encouragement, not being, hey, I won. So there's none of that. It's all about being a group of people together.
Supportive.
Yeah, it's really good. That's why I kind of love it. That's why I did a couple of the coaching courses, and I've had a little hiatus because of work, but I'm going back to it in a couple of weeks, just doing a night a week of coaching because I just enjoy it. And it's a bit different from the office, right? I get to jump up and down and shout at people.
Yeah.
Which isn't that much different from the office, but it is a little bit.
So you do boot camp. You should do security boot camp while doing CrossFit.
Oh yeah, I've been telling my team they're gonna have to come along and do a workout with me at some point.
I'm in for it. It. Masha's been chasing me for trying CrossFit, so I need to.
Cool.
But on the subject, actually, how important is for you to do sport and to balance sport and work? So how important is that fine balance?
So I think it's whether it's sport or something else. I think having some hobbies outside of work are super important. Whatever your job is, if you've got a stressful job, I guess one thing that's interesting about security and other operational roles is you're sort of always on. So you're always like, could something happen? Is something going to happen? So even though I'm not on call in terms of being paid to be on call, I am on call 24/7. Right? If something bad goes wrong, I'm going to be involved.
Your face.
So having an outlet that de-stresses you and takes your mind off it is really, really important. And that, it could be stamp collecting, it could be sport, it could be tiddlywinks, right? It doesn't really matter necessarily what it is. It's just something where you've got a hobby, you've got a passion that is separate from what you do for your day job. Obviously, I also think there's some other benefits of sport, right? In terms of it makes you healthier, it makes you more resilient. It gives you discipline because you turn up and do it. So like last night, I was pretty tired. I dropped my little one back to her mum. But I needed to go. I needed to do some exercise, so I got to the gym like 8:20. It shut at 9, but I still got in there. I still did my squats and a few pull-ups, and got it done. Right, so it gives you that kind of discipline where you're going to go and get it done.
And you feel better.
You feel awesome. But I think having some discipline and being reasonably healthy just makes you better at stuff. So I recommend to anyone. It doesn't have to be CrossFit, whether it's running, CrossFit, going to the gym. Do some exercise.
45.
Be healthy. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of some resistance work. Doing some work with weights hugely benefits you in terms of everything from bone density to overall strength. We all know the stats on how much weaker and how much more kind of fat to muscle people get as they get older. You lose. Yeah. I can't put the exact stats, but it's a pound or two of muscle every decade of your life if you don't work really hard to kind of keep it from like 20, 30 onwards. So it makes a huge difference to be able to do things, pick up your child, run for the bus, whatever happens to be. So I think, so it's just, being fit and healthy is hugely beneficial. And combining being fit and healthy with having some passions outside of your job just helps you wind down, takes your mind off it, and just gives you that kind of ability to be resilient and deal with things.
And would you ever make it mandatory as part of the hiring or not?
Absolutely not. Yeah, I'm not
If
sure
you
I'd
don't do
even be allowed to
CrossFit, I'm
say.
not gonna hire.
Yeah, that'd be pretty limiting. Given that I'm a massive proponent for kind of diversity and building diverse teams, I'm not sure that kind of goes too well. But yeah, I mean, yeah, if I could nudge my team to be healthier, I definitely would. I'm not saying they're not
Encourage.
healthy, but just in general, I think being healthy and getting out there is super important. But that could just be a walk, right? If you just regularly go out for a walk, that's better for you than not. So
Or a bike at home during the
bike
cold,
ride,
like Stu does.
yeah,
I
get
think
outside, get some fresh air.
no, but I think it's great, and trying to mix that. I mean, working from home, or like Stu does, like work from home, and sometimes he's at meeting, and has the chance to actually jump on a bike and sweat a little bit. I think should be more encouraged rather than just purely. I mean, not in traditional environment, not in office environment, because that might be challenging. But if you work from home, I tend to find that you're much more static than in an office. So maybe meeting on a bike.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and and it also helps you think, right? So the the reality is, especially if you're in kind of I don't know what the term is, like thought leadership type role. So you're more you're solving problems or trying to kind of work out how to deal with things, whatever else. Sitting at your desk trying to solve it and desperately trying to think about it often doesn't get you there. But you go out for a walk, you think about some other stuff, and you free up, and your left brain or whatever it is to do some thinking and give you some answers. Um, you solve problems. We all know that. You're sitting there watching TV or going for a wander, and you're like, oh, and an answer to a question someone asked you a week ago
Light bulb.
pops in your head, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, so I think there's a lot to be said for that kind of just giving yourself freedom to think, and going for a walk to solve problems isn't not working, right? If I see one on my team and they go out and they have a walk around a block for a little while and come back and they've solved something, they're delivering really cool work. They've given themselves the space to solve a problem. So yeah, so
And that's how you measure. That's how you measure productivity, and not just with numbers, right?
oh, absolutely. I don't care where my team is in terms of that. We have to have some presence in the office because of what we do, especially in our London office because we're on the same floor as our exec. So I always like to make sure there's at least some people in the office. So if something happens or an exec's got a question, they're not like, oh, where's security? But fundamentally, we're really flexible. All of my team does a bunch of home working. I've got two, I think soon to be three people who are almost entirely remote. So they come in the office maybe once every couple of months. Um, we're spread across more than one country and multiple offices anyway, right? So for me, it's deliver awesome work, be engaged, and kind of get what needs to be done. And it's not about presenteeism. It's not about is your bum on a seat in the office 9 to 5:30. It's about, are you engaged? Are we helping you be do a great job? And are you able to be it's a terrible social media term, but be your best self. If someone's more introverted or quieter, or they've got family reasons to work funny hours or whatever else, go for your life.
Go for it.
Yeah.
No, I think you make employee more um, linked to the company, to you, because just that flexibility that helps a lot, and I entirely embrace being hidden everywhere, talking at conference, mixing that family and home life plus work life. I think it's key. But you touch a point on diversity. So what are the key things that you encourage people to do on diversity? I'm big on diversity, and we had different clashing opinions here and there. And I think being opinionated is challenging nowadays for a reason or another. But what will be your suggestion to follow CISO, follow community, to get more diversity, and not just women in cyber?
So for me, it's there's it's just being a great team to work for as much as possible, being flexible, being open to different ways of working, and you have to be open to challenge. So, like you touched on, the more cognitive diversity you have in a team, the more different ways you have thinking about things, the more different viewpoints you have, the more chance will be of disagreement. But that's good because then you'll get better solutions. So as long as you kind of build or foster kind of a culture of kind of positive disagreement, not in terms of people can disagree and be adult about it, and have a discussion and agree the way forward, you'll get much better outcomes. So it's really nice. Like I touched on when I first joined here, it was kind of the Kev show for a while. And that's kind of cool because everyone's like, yeah, that's the right thing to be doing. Hey, that's great. You're awesome. But that doesn't get you to the best outcomes over time. So you need people who think differently. You need people who are going to say, no, Kev, that's a stupid idea. You should do it like this. And for me to go, I don't
Slap.
really, yeah, for me to like lay the smack down. But no, but the reality is you need that, and you need to foster that, and you need to have a culture where people can do that. And I think one of the things you have to be really aware of is how people like to communicate as well. So it's really easy to kind of think the high flyers in your team are the ones that are most out there, that are chatting the most, that are talking the most, and you see them engaged everywhere and they're doing stuff and it's great. And they're probably doing great work. But you may also have quieter people who are, a bit more introverted, a bit more anxious, whatever else, and they do their communication via Slack channels or via other things. So they're quieter, or they're just delivering awesome work because they've got some projects to deliver on or whatever. So I think you have to be really aware of how people best communicate and how to get the best out of them, and recognize that people will contribute in very different ways, so that you don't end up giving promotion after promotion to the people you see doing the most sort of visible, out there, vocal stuff. And it's creating that culture that allows those different ways of comms as well. So you have, when you're trying to solve problems, you may have, meetings, and you may have chats, and you may have a presentation someone's working on and a Slack channel, and you make sure you try and bring them together so that people can contribute in the way that works best for them. Same with the flexible working stuff, right? If you demand people being in the office, those who've got families or those who've got people they're looking after, or even pets or whatever else, will be challenged. If you're flexible about your working, and flexible about the hours people work as much as you can be and everything else, you make it easier for people with different challenges and different lives and different lifestyles to be part of your team. For me, it's because our team in Canada, for example, is like 6-8 hours behind us. If I've got people who love a lie-in and work a bit later, that works really well because there'll be more crossover with the people in Canada. So there's always benefits to different ways of working, whether it's longer coverage because you've got people working different hours, or because people are engaged. We had a small incident a year or so ago, and it involves some kind of cloud stuff. And because they're engaged and because they want to help and because we treat people well, probably half or 2/3 of our cloud security team jumped on a call with the SecOps team to help them do it, even though they weren't technically on call. So you get that kind of back in spades. If you treat people well and build that team where people are trusted and empowered and feel great about your team, you get it back more than far more than bit of presenteeism, because they'll go the extra mile. Yeah, you trust them to do the right thing, but they'll want to help. So I think if you need a selfish reason for building a really good team and treating people well, it's that you'll get more out of them. If you need that selfish kind of why should I do it, you'll get more. You'll get more delivery. You'll get a team that's happier. You'll get less churn. So as a leader of a team, it makes your life far better. And you'll hopefully attract better people because it's like, hey, they're a great company to work for. You only have to look at Stu's super vocal, but there's a bunch of people on my team who but look at the stuff he's putting out there. He's like, I found my dream job. This is a great place to work. So by doing that, you get advocates as well. So you get people who go the extra mile for you. You get better outcomes. You get better better engagement. You get less churn, and you get people advocate for how good it is to work for you. So when you do need to grow or you do need to replace people, you'll hopefully find better people because your team's going, hey, this is a great place to work. Come and join us. And it's
you don't rely on the traditional recruitment, and you have also that channel of people that want to get to you.
Yeah, like our TA team loves us because we 90% of our roles we fill ourselves. So they get
that's great.
They get when we have churn or when we grow, our talent acquisition team kind of get a really easy ride because they get to kind of close security roles without having to necessarily do too much work. I mean, they're a great team, but it's just we've got good networks and we focus on kind of getting stuff out there and trying to keep our job spec simple. We had a couple slip out last year that were a bit more complicated, but we kind of reined them in. That's my miss. But so it's for me it's I don't do a how do I get this diversity or that diversity. I just try and be a cool place for anyone, and then hopefully that kind of just brings the diversity by anyone can work here. I think I use one examples I use in terms of kind of how you have to kind of think a bit differently or look beyond how someone looks. Is I used to coach a guy in the Blackfriars where I coached before, where I'm now. He was called Ravi. Hopefully, you won't mind me mentioning him, but he was profoundly deaf. right? So he was a middle class white guy. So if I hired him and he's walked past my bank of desks, you go, oh look, Kev's hired another middle class white guy. But he was profoundly deaf from the day he was born. So his way of looking at the world was totally different to mine. And it made me think about how I interacted with him, because the number of times I would shout Ravi across the gym and then have to smack my head because I'm like, yeah, well done, Kev.
That won't work.
You're shouting at a deaf guy across the room.
Literally.
Yeah. So you try to make where you work as good as possible and as open as possible for anyone. Embrace that diversity, embrace challenge, and
Creative
also
thinking also.
learn from yourself how when you have people who are different, whether it's mental differences in terms of, do they have anxiety or Asperger's or anything else that makes their way they interact with you differently, or physical disabilities changes, whatever it is. Then you have to try and think about how you interact with people as well, and you have to be really open to learning how to interact better, because you might not be doing it well.
And have you ever had challenge where you were in a particularly stressful situation or stressful condition of the company, and you had different people just cracking under pressure because they were in different mindset, different things, or not performing that well under stress?
So we've had some examples of that kind of stuff, and it comes back to being that support, manager or leader, whatever term you want to use, but being as supportive as you can, and allowing people space. If someone is struggling, much as you may need the work to get done, you have to actually step back and say, you're more important than the work. So I always say to my team, you and your family are more important than the work. Look after yourselves. So whether it's someone's got to take if their child needs operation, or they're not feeling great, or they're feeling overwhelmed, whatever it is, take that time you need to look after yourself. Obviously I can't give any specific examples because that's private. But I'm very big on how can I support the team, and when people need it, obviously they let them take the time they need to make sure they're okay, because then they're going to come back. And again, it goes back to what I was saying before, right? If you look after your team and make sure they're okay, you then don't have someone who either leaves or ends up on long-term sick or whatever else. And then when they do come back and want and get stuck in and get involved, they're again, I don't know if they're grateful, or they understand that you treated them well and looked after them. So you get it back even more, because you have people like, this is really cool.
Passion and commitment.
Yeah. And I've been looked after, and Kev took some heat, or our team took some heat for not delivering X or Y, or someone else in the team picked up some extra work to make sure we did deliver it so that I could be okay. And now I'm going to make sure I look after the rest of my team, and I'm really passionate and engaged with the team. So, again, you can always put, if you need it, there's always a selfish slant on this, which is you get more back and you get a better team. But there's also the fact that,
you have to deliver to the business in the end. So you're responsible, your face is on it. But as a leader, it's a great leader that you demonstrate to be, how do you shelter your team?
And for me, it provides endless satisfaction. If I've helped someone and got them through a difficult time, or helped them, that's probably too strong, helped them get through a difficult time and made sure they knew their job was safe, and they came back to it and they've been looked after, the satisfaction I get out of helping people and knowing that I've been a positive impact on their life, and
they'll always remember you.
And for me, it's not about what they think. It's just, for me, it's really satisfying that I've got to help someone, and I'm in a privileged position where I get to kind of run my team how I want, and I get to make sure I can look after my team as well as I can.
That's amazing. And we have another question, a little bit challenging, from Ivano about your opinion about recruiter. I'm not gonna read the second part. That tend to be opinionated about a lot of fields.
Yeah, I mean it's they're recruiters, right? Their job is to find people. Their job isn't necessarily to be experts in all of the things we do. And I think that's where some of the challenges come from, because when you're recruiting for some of the experienced recruiters do have quite a good sensor for kind of, is this guy telling the truth or not? But because they're not experts at field X, if I come in with a shiny looking CV and go, hey, I smashed doing X, they're probably going to believe that and then pass them on. So for recruiters that aren't security experts in our fields, I guess, bullshit filter, excuse my French, is what they have to have, right? But if that's what they've got, they haven't got the expertise. They have to be good at sniffing out, is this true or not? And obviously they can then pass you candidates that aren't amazing because the candidate told them they were amazing. So, I kind of get their pain a little bit, and it's a bit of a niche field, so it must be harder. But equally, they do charge a lot of money, so I guess we can expect that. Unlike all things, there's good recruiters and bad recruiters. I work with some really good ones that specialize in our field.
Getting
And
involved in the community.
yeah, they're the same. It's the same as any kind of sales thing, right? If they're easy to work with, they don't harass you, they help you when you need it. They might touch base every now and then, but then the amount of spam I get was just, hey, I've got this great person that's looking for a role, and it's like, I haven't told you I'm hiring. Why are you sending me this stuff?
Yeah.
So they make a bad name for themselves with the kind of the cold calling approach they do, and yeah, there's I think Ivano's added a follow-up, which isn't there the
He's a
possibility,
gatekeeper.
which is the same problem with HR and tick boxes, right? Which is if you've put a bunch of specs on out there that says must have XYZ, must have degree, whatever else, it won't get through the HR or people team. Same thing with recruiters. Someone could have sent a recruiter who would be great for your team, but because they'd missed a tick box or haven't got the right keywords, the recruiter could filter them out. So yeah, that's absolutely a great point. And that's why I think LinkedIn and things are so powerful, because there's a lot of problems with social platforms that we can touch on separately. But for things like job hunting, if you're looking for a job, a lot of companies will advertise them on there. If you're looking for people, having your networks and that power of, if you know someone and you say, hey, Kev, this person's really cool, you probably should have a chat with them if you're looking for this type of person. I probably will. So that kind of recommendation stuff, and someone personally getting in touch, I think, is also really important in terms of whether it's I would normally point them towards our TA team first, because that's they like to kind of do a little initial sort of touch base and keep a record of who's applying, so that's all captured. But the reality is, it's those kind of things do circumvent recruiters quite a lot. But equally, good recruiters are really helpful, because that if they sent you 5 candidates, they've done some screening, the recruiter knows what you're looking for, and especially if you've built up a bit of a relationship with the recruiter, they know a bit about you and
the culture.
about the culture and stuff. So it can help filter stuff, good and bad. And like everything, there's good ones who are great to work with, and there's bad ones, like there's bad salespeople in all fields.
And Lisa, what is the toughest challenge you have faced in your current role?
Probably getting out of my own and my team's way, I think. So as I've kind of grown into the role and built the bigger team, it's kind of what I touched on before. It's getting used to not knowing literally everything that's happening, and doing the best job. And it's actually, and also realizing that then lets me be better at what I need to be. So a lot of my role is keeping stuff out of my ways team, unblocking things for the team, making sure the board and the exec support what we do, getting approval for our budget, all of those kind of things. That if I do, means my team can then focus on doing what they need to, knowing they've got the support, knowing that they've got the budget, whatever else. So yeah, getting out my own way and my team's way, I think, and just learning to be, I don't know, I guess leader is. I hate using that term because it sounds like I'm calling myself an awesome leader, but I guess
yes, you can. You demonstrate.
But
you
yeah,
talk as a leader,
so it's being that kind of being a leader for the team and not so much of a doer. So and I love tech stuff, right? So I do try and get a bit involved. I'm in an AWS call tomorrow, or meeting tomorrow, sorry, just because I want to learn about what's going on. I don't strictly have to be there, but yeah. So it's getting out that way, and it's letting my team be awesome at what they do, whilst not meddling too much.
So we almost running close to the time, so I don't wanna hold you for more. But if we can leave everybody with like a positive message around cybersecurity or the community or whatever you want to leave, give us 10 seconds or how much time you want for positive message for the community and for cyber.
So I think the positive message is be positive, right? We all love this. If you're in security, you probably love what you do. You don't. There's a few people I think getting into it because of money, but you can soon sniff them out. But I think reality is, if you're doing something you're passionate about, remind yourself how lucky we are. We're working in a field that's really interesting. We have to learn stuff new every day. We can earn a reasonable salary doing it. we're probably fairly safe in our careers, maybe not in our jobs, that specific job, but certainly career-wise, it's a good place to be. And most of us are, because it's a decent career and a decent place to be, probably able to feed ourselves and our families, and we've got roofs above our head and all of those kind of things we just take for granted, right? So as someone just said, we could be working in a coal mine. Exactly, right? So literally, it's really easy to get sucked into the burnout. It's hard.
Politics.
No one appreciates us. No one cares about security, but they do because they're paying a salary, right? So fundamentally, try to just take that little moment every day to go, I am grateful for my life being awesome, and I'm touch wood, most of us are healthy, have friends, have family, have jobs. If we don't have jobs, we can probably get another job fairly easily because of security, skill shortage, buzzword. So it's just that, and I do that to myself because it's really easy. You get to the end of the month and you've burnt your cash, or you're giving, you've had a divorce, or you've whatever else you've gone through. Obviously I say that because I've just done it. But it's really easy to get kind of negative. And obviously the constant onslaught of attacks and am I going to be breached is a constant worry. But be positive. Life is great. Your job's cool. You're learning new stuff, and you've got to keep learning, stay on top of things. So if you like learning, it's the right place to be. And we've got a good community. There's a few things go both bad, but if you generally look at the by and large of people who are positive contributors, the amount of positive stuff and support on LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever else, meetups is huge. The amount of meetups that people run for the love of doing it and just to have engagement and talk to people. So I think we have a really, really good community, and I think we very easily forget that. So remember the awesome community and be positive and be thankful for your awesome life.
Thank you very much for the great message, for the positive message, and thank you for coming on the call, Kevin. It's been an absolute pleasure, and probably we need to do a follow up on this one on a few other bits and bobs. I had like a long list of questions I want to talk about, but unfortunately we reached close to the time. I really thank you for the time, and see you next time. Thank you everybody for listening in. Cheers, guys. Bye.